with the new synthetic turf field that you have at the high school, that expands your opportunity, and the lights expands your opportunities a lot. But a lot of people like to play on the natural turf fields too. The lights I've shown here are, you know, it's a big cost item. I assume that phase 3 power is close by, but I don't know. It's gotta be, I know it is because we're right downtown, so you got lights here.
What else? This has been a long time in the making.
Now let's just talk about funding. You know, the Recreation Conservation Office is the major funding for outdoor recreation in the state of Washington. And it's really quite unique across the United States. In this year itself, the grant cycle is up. There's 2 grants that grant categories that this park would be candidates for. One of them would be the local parks, WWRP, which is Washington Wildlife Recreation Program, and the local park program in there, and that is $500,000 for development, and then the applicant has to match that $500,000, so you can get a grant for up to $500,000. The other one is the Youth Athletic Facility Grant, and its cap is $250,000, and you also have to match that too. But you can play one off the other. So say if you want to improve some of those softball fields in there, you got a local grant for $500,000 to improve the field there, and you also got the $250,000 Youth Athletic Facility Grant. Then now tonight Illinois has to come up with $250,000, but it's a risk. Because if you don't get the Youth Athletic Facility Grant, or you don't get the local parks, then you're taking up the difference. But that's done all the time.
That's a dollar match. It's a big match.
However, we are already making those investments. So if you look at our budget and you look at the things that we're already doing with, say, the county, those dollars are already being spent on our park this year. We've already signed up for that. So the hope is that we would be using the money that we're already spending. We're already putting $300,000 to $400,000 into our park this year based on, like I said, the county, the CDBG funds. Those monies are already dedicated. So this I see as a prime chance to leverage those dollars that we're already collecting and spending into a grant request to do where we're at basically now is phase 2.
I'm not sure that you can because the monies are already dedicated. That's almost jiggling the books.
No, that's what you do. We're writing a check, the county's writing checks. That is what you do. You don't. If phase 2 is park core, we are contributing already $500,000 into phase 2. We're asking the state for the other $500,000 for phase 2. That's, from what I understand, that's how it works.
Every grant has its requirements, so you just have to look at each grant and see what they require. Some are more easily to do, and others are more difficult. So.
Well, we do though, everything that anybody puts forward is always going to come down to money.
Yeah. Is it? I mean,
you gotta have a plan first.
Yeah.
And you have a park and rec comp plan that's already recognized by the state. Now you have a master plan and a cost estimate for all the different items that you might want to go forward. So you're positioned well to move towards a grant application. But you're right. You gotta come up with the match yourself. But the mayor is right also, that match can take up many, many different forms, including volunteer work, in kind, right, and private donations and the like.
Okay, I haven't been paid since 1995. Figure up all those hours
We'll
of
figure it
volunteer
in.
work.
I really do think we're positioned to move forward. We have money in the budget for a grant writer because this RCO grant process is beyond any of our abilities. So we have funds for the grant writer, and years forward, 3-4 years from now, you know, we may not get, you know, the other monies coming in. We've found other monies to put into our park, and if we can leverage those, you know, I think we'd be wise to try to take that opportunity. So I think this is timed very well. We'll see.
You know a grant writer that has success on first round drafts?
We know a park firm that has grant writers that work in RCO grants. Do you know anybody that does that?
I do it every day.
Oh. So I mean, we're gonna have to we'll start working on that. You know, what our next step is to implement this and, you know, bring those other funds in so that, you know, Tenino's not writing a $500,000 check. It's us using our different resources and, you know, coming up with the match, you know, collaboratively, which we have. I mean, we would be foolish not to leverage that, you know, the funds that we're already investing from all over the place. So,
Like I said, once it comes down to his money,
yeah. Time and money.
we could travel the world if we had the money.
What else?
The RCO grant program is biennium is every 2 years. This is the grant year. If you were successful in getting the grant, then you would see the money and the legislature approved the budget, then you would see the money in 2019. So the grant program is that you have to have a letter of intent in March, by the 1st of March, and then in May, your application is due. In June, you do a mock presentation to some folks, and they give you constructive criticism on your presentation. And then in August, you give the presentation, and in September, they score you. And you know if you're going to be successful or not sometime in September or October. Not everybody makes it, of course. It's very competitive, but it's the best program in the United States. Most other programs, it's just kind of a pork barrel type thing. You talk to your legislature and you get something that way. Another way, though, you can look at it is the community development block grants. A lot of park projects are built that way as well, and that is a direct appropriation from the legislator to a specific project. That is administered also by the Recreation Conservation Office. A lot of ways to do it. So you got basically the first 2 steps to get there.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Droll? All right, thank you, Bob.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity, folks.
Appreciate it.
Nice job. Thanks.
That brings us to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment at this time, please step forward, state your name and address. You'll be given 3 minutes to provide public comment. I'll ask again, if there's anyone in the audience that would like to, I see somebody moving, I gotta take her. Public comment period's closed.
I'm your somebody. Keith Phillips, and I'm a resident at 449 4th Street in Tenino. And I got 3 minutes, right? Okay.
You've
Well,
already used 30
congratulations,
seconds.
Mayor. Congratulations on your King 5 lauds, as you might say it. You know,
Thank you, sir.
that was nice of you, and you've done great to enhance the name of Tenino. Thank you very much from our family. And also, I'd like to extend appreciation for all city workers, the city maintenance crew, the chief and his people, and the office workers in City Hall. Yeah, they go on and on and on every day and do their work and make this place a nice place to help make this place a nice place to live. Okay, I'm here hopefully to bring light to you as a council, the value of Tenino sandstone. It's regionally, almost nationally known as historically a good stone to build with. And the city itself, and there's not going to be quarried for any time in the near future. So it's a finite quantity on the ground right now. There's pieces laying around the park on city property that should be saved, protected, because there's folks out there that know its value, and I know for sure that there's a few blocks on the ground at the park that should be put and preserved on city property that's secure. It'll be wanted and desired in the future, and if it's ever quarried again, it'll be expensive. So, and also, from the museum group, I would like to say, I'd like to put a word in for the protection of the flag circle at the museum. That flag circle was donated to the city by a city family. It was constructed by a city crew around, I think, in about 1990, roughly 91 or 92. It does need repair. It can be repaired. And it has a plaque on it to commemorate that flag circle or those flags so that it says for citizens to display their flag. It's a little brass plaque, and that plaque was provided by Puget Sound Energy in 1989, and there were several throughout Washington that Puget Sound Energy provided, and that's one of those plaques that's on that circle there. So that circle it needs to be repaired, but it's valuable as a very dedicated museum staff member helped create that flag circle there. So thank you very much, and that's all I've got. I hope that's within 3 minutes.
Alright.
Thanks, Keith.
I have sent a message to Public Works to ask them to pick up and secure those stones in the morning. Thank you, Keith. If there's anyone else in the audience who would like to provide public comment at this time, please step forward. You will be given 3 minutes. Going once, going twice. Sold. That brings us to public hearing. We have none. Proclamations, we have none. Old business. Park improvements update. This is just a general piece of information. Mr. Sean Hickox has completed the signs for the new Gateway Arch in the city park, along with the entrance to the quarry pool, both of which have been installed by the city's public works crew. The installation of these two signs completes all the grant work done with respect to the Gateway Arch and the quarry pool fence projects. The El Tenino Trail Extension feasibility study is still being worked on by Thurston County and TRPC. While the city has received the funds for the wayfinding signs, no signs have yet to be installed. So if you haven't seen the signs, see above the Gateway Arch sign or the Quarry Pool Arch sign, go take a look. Sean did an excellent job on those. Public safety testing. Public safety testing has made all but one of the changes recommended by our city attorney. The sole exception is that they declined to modify the indemnity language as they believe their existing language is adequate. Recommended action tonight is to move to authorize Mayor Fournier to enter into the agreement. Do you have anything you want to say regarding the PST agreement?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to enter into the agreement with public safety testing. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That brings us to creative and historic districts. The establishment of a creative district requires a resolution be adopted by council with all other required actions to be done at a later time. The administration will ask the council adopt resolution 2018-01 to begin this process. The establishment of a historic district, whether prescriptive or permissive, will require an entirely new section of the Tenino Municipal Code be adopted by ordinance. This process will be undertaken by the Tenino Planning Commission and will be brought forward to council by the commission in a manner similar to the text amendments from last year, or modification of other land use provisions.
No problem.
Second.
Well, that is under resolutions. So
Yeah.
this was simply information. It's okay. I'm sure you've all read through it.
We'll hold that over till it gets there.
I've already got the motion. I'll just wait. I'll just hold that. That brings us to selection of mayor pro tem. Would anyone like to make a nomination at this time?
I nominate Dave.
Jason, down there. We're kidding. We're not serious.
Shenanigans. Okay, we have a nomination for council member. Leslie's nominating Susan. I don't know if we can do that. We have a nomination for council member Watterson. Is there any further nominations? That makes it easy.
Call
So,
for the question.
well, does somebody make a motion, somebody make a second?
I made the motion.
I made the second.
Okay, you made a second. It's been moved and seconded to appoint council member Dave Watterson as mayor pro tem for 2018. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That was easy.
Term limits, so this is my last one.
Yes, term limits.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a speech?
It's a distinct honor to be mayor for the, what is it, 4th year?
All right. TRPC contract renewal.
Move approval.
Well, we have a guest.
Oh, okay.
TRPC contract has come up for renewal. The administration has had several, I already read this during the work session.
Yes.
I would like to invite Mrs. Karen Parkhurst to the lectern at this time. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you're here. I figured you're here for this reason.
Well, you can
Unless
always
you
talk
wanted-
about Woodstock.
You might want to talk about the sheriff's department agreement or something. I don't know really, but I'm assuming you're here for this.
Yes, I am. That's why I'm here.
Welcome.
We are pleased to continue to provide planning services for the city of Tenino. I think some of the work that you are doing with the historic district and creative district is really exciting, and I know that Katrina is looking forward to that work. I appreciate the relationship that we have with this community, and I also wanted to mention that we have talked to staff about this. We know that often this goes a little bit beyond just the planning contract, but often when we're trying to find funding for projects, we find that federal money is much harder to spend than it is to get. And especially for small jurisdictions, there's a lot of requirements that are part of that. And so we are working really hard in the funding that gets passed through our agency from the federal and state to
Water it
provide,
down.
pardon?
Water it down.
I'm sure that's not the word I was going to use.
No, that's the one I used when I brought it up years ago.
To figure out ways that we can swap federal money for local money, especially for the small jurisdictions. So we are looking at how we can do that. The county has done that for you before, and we're trying to figure that out. And so we also want to provide more in the way of technical assistance. So our technical assistance committee, which is a group of staff from a number of jurisdictions, any jurisdiction, would like to have a meeting this year in Tenino and invite your staff to participate. And it would be a way of helping to identify projects, helping to estimate the costs of projects, and help your grant applications be more successful. So we want to provide as much support as we can in that way. That's not part of the contract, that's just a gimme, because we want all the money in the world to come to the Thurston region. And since you're part of the Thurston region, it's our job to make sure that we help you find ways to get that funding. So again, I appreciate continuing to do your planning, and happy to help.
Thank you, Karen. We appreciate the work that you guys do.
Thank you.
Hopefully they pass this contract.
Yeah, don't say that yet.
Yeah. So we have a recommend to move to authorize Mayor Fournier to enter into the TRPC agreement. Do I have any questions, motions?
Need a second. We already got the motion. Need a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to enter into the TRPC agreement. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That brings us to Thurston County Sheriff's Office agreement. We discussed the intent of this during the work session.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the TCSO agreement and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Energy conservation. I will again pass it to Councilmember Watterson.
So we discussed this also, I guess, like I talked about, I don't think this specific agreement is gonna be the final one because the district had some tweaks they needed to make to it. So I'm not sure exactly how to word this, but I guess I'll give it a stab. I make a motion that we allow Mayor Fournier to enter into agreement between the district and the city pending review of our legal services, when a final contract comes to the city. I guess, does that explain it?
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to enter into the Portland Energy Conservation, Inc. and Tenino School District agreement, pending further legal review.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Did I say it better than you?
Yeah, probably. That's mine. That's him, not there.
Yeah, you're right.
You have a contest going here?
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We have a Tenino Farmers Market fee waiver request.
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the Tenino Farmers Market fee waiver request for 2019. Is there any discussion?
18.
It says 2019 season on here.
I guess they're close from that. Mine says 18.
Mine says 19.
All right, well, let's say 2018. Let's split the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a half.
I swear mine says 2019. Not that it matters.
Mine does too.
All right, moving on. There's moved and seconded to waive the special use fees and deposits for the 2018 season. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to Resolution 2018-1 that would designate the current historic district a creative district and would lay the groundwork for, that was written weird. Would designate the current would lay the groundwork for designating the current historic district.
Move approval.
Second.
I've got all kinds of different. There's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Tenino establishing the City of Tenino Creative District. See, not,
There we go.
well, it was the, are we doing creative and historic district?
No. The discussion previous was, there are two separate issues on the table.
Yes.
The creative district, we're asking you to approve the resolution because that's the only action that really needs to be taken by the council.
Okay.
The historic district is not gonna be a two-page ordinance. It's gonna be a book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be an entirely new section of our municipal code. And so,
That's
got
not
the
good.
action, we're gonna pass it off to the planning commission, it's really in it's their area of expertise anyway. So they're gonna take that on, that's one of the things that Katrina is going to assist them with this next year. I don't know what that timeline is.
Yeah.
So we're just passing the creative district one, because that was my motion.
Yeah. I got a little sideways because earlier we're talking about historic districts and we're talking about all in the same kind of paragraph, but we're not asking for any type of historic district related resolution. We're simply informing you guys that that is the course of action regarding that. We are asking for the passing of the creative districts resolution. This is a creative district consisting of cultural facilities, creative industries, and arts-related businesses. Can be a hub of social business activity. So that is the resolution we're asking you to pass. That is the motion on the table. It does have a second. Is there any discussion?
And just so you should know, I talked to the director of the Arts Commission this afternoon, and she says they're about halfway through writing all the guidelines.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Excellent. That brings us to outside agencies. Library, Serena Painter seeks approval of a special use permit and fee waiver for movie nights in the park. Ms. Painter?
You want me to wait, or should I say yes, and approve it now?
No,
Let
wait.
it time.
Okay,
Let it time.
okay, okay.
Let her get her 10 to 2 minutes, okay?
All over now,
She
right?
walked across the alley. We got
Yeah.
that for her.
Hey, you walked across the hours.
I do.
Thank you.
Over the hill through the woods.
This is a cute movie.
Welcome.
Thank you.
For you all.
We have grand plans. So we're seeking a special permit for movies in the park, sponsored by the Tenino Library and hopefully many other agencies within our community, because this grand plan is still not finished or formalized. This is just the first part, getting permission. And we're also hoping this will become annual, so if it goes well, expect to see us next year. We have a summer reading program, goes on every summer. It's a huge event and it's national. Every library participates in it, whether it's a public library or a private library. How would I say that? Ocean Shores is a private library. They actually are not part of the Timberland system. They too come to our training to participate in the summer reading. This year it's Libraries Rock. Every year is a new theme. There's some kind of national theme, and this year it's Libraries Rock. And my youth associate and I put our heads together, and we've noticed that some libraries and other agencies participate in movies in the park, and I thought, well, that'd be a wonderful thing to have in our community. And it wouldn't just serve youth and teens, but adults and seniors, your pets, as long as they're well behaved. So here is 3 movies that our youth associate decided to select to play this year. These actually not only go with music themes for our summer reading program, but they go with and if you look at the top, Timberland's mission. And Timberland Regional Library invites discovery, interaction with our vibrant collection, services, and programs for learning, enrichment, and enjoyment for people of all ages in our diverse communities. So the selection of these movies, the activities we will have with these movies go with our mission. We will also be providing, let's see if I say this right, Alicia, STEAM activities. Someone help me out with that.
STEAM.
Yeah,
Yes,
science, technology, engineering, arts,
STEM.
and math.
Thanks.
STEM, but added with art.
But it's got an A,
Okay.
so it's art. So if you flip to your last page, just an
Add
example.
letters.
Yeah, add letters. Messy.
Screen, what's the R? Reading? Oh,
Yeah.
well, you are a library.
Yeah, exactly. So messy learning, kids getting busy learning science and activity play. We're gonna have, bring our Ozbots and our Codapillars to the Star Wars to represent coding and technology. We'll be hiring a balloon man to make balloon activities. We're gonna encourage dress up and contest. And all this is gonna occur before the movie plays, because of course it's subjective. We can't play a movie in the park until it's dusk. So we'll probably be starting at 7:30 with a variety of activities for each of these movies, and the activities going with the movies, and that includes, we're in the process of trying to find still drum artists. We have a couple people that we're looking at to go with Mona, a hula dancer, to teach Polynesian dance to the young families that are there, and then accumulating into the movie. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing there, if you guys give us permission to do so.
Move approval.
Second.
Questions?
No, I just, for our purposes, the permit, you don't need approval from the council.
Okay.
That's just an administrative thing. The fee waiver, they have to approve, but, and this is just for we need to make sure that those requests go in new or old business and not during reports, but I don't want that to like hold up our process for today. So, it's just, feel free to make the motion, but it only need be for the fee waiver. Does that sound right?
Yep.
There is one other important aspect to this. what council would be doing in approving this particular special use permit is keeping the park open at night. Because right now by ordinance, it closes at dusk. So what they're actually doing is, that's why this is a special use permit.
Okay,
It's for 3 nights this summer.
then
It's
let
not
us,
every night.
since it's not summer yet, how about we put this on old business at the next meeting, along with like a resolution that allows the use of the park at night or something like that, and allows the fee waiver all in one,
Yeah.
something, so that we're not doing something arbitrarily, and then we can also put in that resolution why we would waive that fee, because you are providing a benefit to the city of Tenino and to the citizens, and so it's not us doing something arbitrary. Would that be okay?
It's not
Yeah,
getting-
yeah, and what we're seeking really ultimately is, you know, confirmation of dates, because we're booking musicians and
I don't
balloon
think you
artists
should
and
worry about that.
so I said, well, we're gonna come make
Steel
sure.
drum artists are expensive.
Yeah,
There's, what's,
so are Polynesian dancers, unless you
Okay.
know dancers.
Dave just got back
I
from
just got back
Hawaii.
from Hawaii.
Us.
Yeah, they wouldn't get any customers.
But you know, we also recognize that we're gonna need to work with Troy, we're gonna need to work with the chief, because it will be unique. I mean, I don't expect a bunch of parents with passed out 5-year-olds to cause havoc, but still, we don't want the sprinklers to pop on
That would be.
while we're watching a movie, yeah, that would be.
I have it on an app on my
Yeah.
phone. So is it,
Next meeting.
that's okay if we approach it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, any
So
questions?
I withdraw my motion then.
Okay.
And wait for it to come back at our next meeting.
Okay, thanks for catching that. Anything else
Anything
going
else?
on at the library?
Yeah. I forgot, we got crafternoon, so we have, come back, we kind of do these in sessions. These are crafts for adults only. We often do many things for youth and not many things for adults, and so this is in the middle of the afternoon, 2 to 3:30 on Thursdays. I brought the dates for Laura to post and kind of have examples. We provide all the activities and all the equipment and all the supplies, and adults come make a craft and get to take a project home. So I have been sharing those activities with other staff members, which is great for them and easier on me. So I teach the painting because I can do stuff
your
like
last
that.
name.
Yeah, painting, right? And so I do silhouette painting will be the first one we have on January 11th. That's been quite popular. And so we do, you can call, we have a series. And then on the 19th, we'll be playing movies specifically for adults. We'll be showing Allied and providing appetizers. So if you'd like to come watch a movie and bring a blanket, it's free, no cost. We'll provide it. It's huge on the wall. We provide free food. And it's just a good way to kick back with a friend or a neighbor. And
Friday evenings.
yeah, Friday evening. And we stay open late just for you adults and play a movie. And Allied was a very award-winning movie. And there's other things that we're planning, of course, for summer. I'm planning a little mini music concert because it's all about the music and it went well this last year, so we'll be bringing many things back. And story time will be starting up again soon. We kind of take little pauses for the Christmas break, as well as Legos and all our wonderful other fun children activities that we do. But I'm the adult programmer, so I like to kind of toot my own horn about the adult stuff. Adults, like 18 and up, you have to be an adult. You cannot.
Something that you might want to do is a cooking class. You can do a lot of cookbooks down there.
You know, I actually have dreams of doing that as the agricultural district grows, in hopes that we can expand a little. I know I've talked to Wayne with the library by adding a meeting space, which would have a kitchen facility so that we can teach programs like that. It's very popular in a lot of districts that do host that, where they can teach. This is a rutabaga, this is what you do, this is how you use it. Also another thing that's growing, which some of us might be shocked by, is kind of adulting 101 courses. There's a lot of skills that are no longer taught, and those have been quite popular and well received at libraries as well. So, but that we kind of have to have the facilities to be able to do that. But it's on our goal list. We have dreams.
Thank you.
Yeah. John, I'm going to leave these with you.
I think they're already on the website.
Yeah, we already got them on the website. That's okay.
All right, next museum.
We have our first board meeting tomorrow.
Okay,
Hopefully this year we'll finally be able to get the bell up on the school.
excellent.
That's the last big project since I became the president of the museum.
That one's been a bugger, huh?
Yeah, every time we got somebody to say they'll put it up,
They
something happens.
go to New Jersey or wherever they go.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Is it hard?
He's
I
in
mean, I'm
Canada.
asking honestly, is it?
Yeah, what we have to do is we have to make sure that we reinforce the joists in the ceiling. And then whatever we cut, we gotta make sure that it's not gonna leak within. It needs cream.
You got it, Jason. Yeah. All right, Chief of Police, do you have a report, sir? A lot of handouts today. It's a new year, new budgets.
Yeah, new budgets, lots of money.
Killing the tree.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot to report on. New Year, it's been a rough week. As you all know, there's a lot going on in Pierce County with the fallen officer this last week. The Sheriff's Department knows that we support the Sheriff's Department. If they go cover Pierce County, we will most likely help cover somewhere in the county during the time. So you guys know how that process works. We all pretty much backfill each other and support each other in these kind of situations. So if Thurston County goes somewhere, then we will step up and help Thurston County cover their area. But that's just so you guys know that. I attended the county commissioners meeting today. Today was designated as Law Enforcement Day in Thurston County. The county commissioners awarded all the law enforcement agencies this proclamation, which I'll pass around to you guys. But it was a pretty nice ceremony. Talked with Commissioner Hutchins and Edwards and those goofballs.
Before we go any further, we did this last year. Can we do it again at our next meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
That's okay. So, it was a nice meeting. I just jammed up there real quick. Commissioner Hutchings had called and asked for a representative to come up. The cards that I passed out last night, we had a meeting with the school and the community about internet safety for our children. I think Mr. O'Callahan may be a part of this TCAT group. Are you on their board?
No, that was BVAC.
Okay, be that, but this is TCAT.
Yeah.
Thurston County, it's a child trafficking coalition against trafficking. Our community is very vulnerable, and we're a smaller community. Our children are looking to get out and see things, do things. Obviously, we can patrol our neighborhoods every day and night if we had the money for maybe here 24 hours a day. But unfortunately, through the internet, these guys are getting into our communities and exploiting our children. In Thurston County alone, there was a lot of sex trafficking of juveniles and children. Last year, there was 26 adults arrested, just that you know of, much less the Olympia prostitution thing that they did. It is a major problem in the our county, this city, and the state. And it's just something. These folks are a nonprofit. They look to partner with cities and school districts and stuff like that to get the word out and help combat the trafficking of children in our communities. Yes, sir.
Up in Seattle, I know it's a big problem in the homeless community that this is exactly what's happening. Is it the same type of people here, or is it different?
It's the exact same people. Is what we talked about last night. Is historically, you folks were able to watch. You saw these predators come into the neighborhood. You knew the stranger that was out stalking our children. Today, we don't have that ability. They groom and stalk our children for months, if not years, via the internet, and we parents don't know anything about it. It's a very sophisticated ring. And there are children that are being taken every day and hurt and injured and moved out of the state and moved out of the country. And as the state patrol gentleman told me last night, this is probably bigger than the drug sales anymore, the trafficking of these kids. It's a problem that, again, I want to keep putting a light on in our community because we're a small community, very limited resources, and our kids want to get out, so they're on the internet, they're exploring the world through that internet, and they're very vulnerable to these kind of attacks. And you all know that, but I just continue to talk about it. So anyway, That was last night. We had about 10 or 15 folks that showed up to school. It was about an hour program. It was a very well receptive.
Was it parents?
Parents, yep. We had the coalition, the state patrol, and myself there, along with some administration from the school, and we talked to them for about an hour, and question and answer. It was pretty good. So anyway, for my report, 2017, pretty busy year for us. We've accomplished a lot of things. Want to make sure I keep bringing these things up, because at one point down the road, I'll come in here and ask you guys for something big. You're like, wow, okay, he did some stuff. We've got our 3 new vehicles this last year, trained some new people, obviously. One's left out at this point. Earned our county commissioners back after 20 years that we haven't had them. That's a pretty big accomplishment in my eyes, personally, for our community. Conducted our evidence audits without any flaws, got rid of all that old evidence, solidified our SRO agreement with the school district, which is up and going, and I'm communicating with those guys fairly regularly. They're very happy with it, the way it's going. Our staffing levels, we're struggling with it, but we're maintaining it, and they know what's going on with it. So last year we received approximately 4,668 calls for service. That's barking dogs to, my water's running and I need a cop to come turn the water off, whatever. Out of that, only 319 got case numbers. So there was a lot of calls for service that we didn't have to do anything with. Only 319 of them actually generated a case, which is actually 107 more than we did in 2016. So our call volume is going up. Obviously we have people, so it's going to generate calls. We're going to handle a few more calls. Speed limit finally got reduced after we jacked with those guys from 16 to 17, and our weight limit signs are up. This end of town, I'm working on that end of town because they're logging 500 acres out on Valentine Road, and we got some logger trucks that are hitting Military Road. So I've been out to talk with those folks. They're very receptive to staying off Military Road and trying to work Churchill. It's just they've got some angles, and I respect that, and I've told them to come in and see John and Troy to see if we can't work out some permit stuff.
Take it out.
Huh?
Take it out.
Unlike some people, I don't like taking so. Anyway, so 2018, not a whole lot's happened this year. We have received our $5,500 grant, if you haven't heard about it. The Nisqually Tribe Partners awarded us $5,500, which was very nice. It's for equipment, vest, taser, computer for new employees, which should offset our budget for this future. We did send a thank you card to those folks, and we put a press release out for it. We started our new shift schedule, working from 6 to midnight with the 3 of us, and with our county agreement, they're working from midnight to 6 for us. So we are established, we have 24-hour service for our community, as stretched out as it is.
And no more on-call time.
No more on-call time. The on-call time is pretty major, as Wayne and I talked about, we talked about last year, just because of the fatigue and the problems that are associated with people driving and handling guns and interacting with the community. We don't want to have one of those kind of problems. So thank you all very much for that.
Can you explain how on-call worked? In years past, somebody got off duty, went home, took their car with them, and then somebody called 911 in Tenino. They would have to come from Yelm, Graham,
Right.
Napa Vine, wherever they live.
And what it did is, if we had a busy night where we had 2 or 3 calls, Officer Moody may have been out here 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night, then had to turn around and come back to work the next day. Which was
no rest periods.
No rest periods in between. You break up your rest periods, so you become very tired and fatigued. Obviously, driving a vehicle all day long, handling a gun, stressful situations, and accidents happen. We've been fortunate; we've not had anything happen in our community, and with your guys' help, we're done with that. That MOU gives us that solid 6 hours from 12 to 6. They handle the calls. In the past, what happened was we get a call for a domestic violence. The county would respond to the call, and they would charge me from the time they got the call until the time I got on the scene. And then I would have to pay our officer overtime for that. So what we did is we took our officer fees out of that. We're just paying the county to do that, and they'll just handle the call from the beginning to the end. It'll streamline that process. It's safer for everybody. It was just a good plan. Until we're at a point that we can provide that service in the community, we have to depend on that partnership with Thurston County. It's just the way, the nature of the beast for right now. So 12 to 6 is covered. The on-call program that you guys talked about tonight, the cleaning up of the MOU that we've had into place. When I first got here, Thurston County charged us the overtime rate per hour, which was $70 an hour per deputy when they came out here. And Sheriff Schnoz and we all sat down and we agreed that that wasn't necessarily the best policy. So now they just use the regular rate, whatever the deputy makes per hour that's on the road. We shouldn't have a lot of that except on the weekends because I can't work 7 days a week. I work 5 days a week, so Saturday and Sunday I have a 6-hour window in the mornings that they'll have to cover that's outside of their 6-hour agreement with us. So there may be times that they come in and handle calls for us. But if we're on duty and they help us, it's no charge to it. That's just mutual aid stuff, like if we help them.
Back and forth.
Absolutely. This is strictly if we're not here and they're having to handle our calls for us. Outside that, that's what that other agreement's for. And again, it's fair. It costs them money to manage these calls, and so I was good with it, and I'm glad you guys were as well. So anyway, those agreements are in place. We completed our agency profile. I'm waiting for the assigned PST agreement, which you guys approved tonight, to move forward with that. I've talked with them. We're on the cusp of getting it on their internet, getting some applications in here. We've got 6 or 7 folks that want to apply right now, but we're trying to get this process in place as opposed to do it on our own and make it a little bit better streamlined. We started our new online reporting. If you don't know about it, I think I talked about it last year a little bit. If you call 911 and you don't have suspect information and it's a theft or vandalism or something where we don't know who did it, but we need to make a report or we want to let somebody know about it, we have the online reporting system. If you have access to a computer or a phone or the internet, the dispatch center will direct you how to get there, or it's on our city website where you can actually go and make your own report directly to us without the officer coming out and seeing you. So in the middle of the night, it saves you a lot of time if somebody's out messing around and somebody got in your car, nothing was taken, but you want to make that report, then you can just go online and make that report. It's not meant to replace our response. It's just to enhance the community's ability to get those cases out and get them done a little faster, because obviously we have limited resources. So it's just another tool.
You're gonna get something in the paper so that people that get the paper know what to expect.
I believe we have.
It's on
I
the
think-
front page.
Huh?
It's on the front page right
Yeah,
now.
I think I put a press release out for that. I put it on our website, and we'll put out a tweet, and we'll continue to promote that.
That's the important part, is
Yes.
to continue.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to promote it. It's just ways to get our community more involved in helping and making it a little bit easier for them. Other than that, not a whole lot more this year. My guys are up and running. Everything's seems to be going great. Thurston County is very supportive of what we got going on. It's just a rough time right now with the fallen officer, so it's just a lot of people running around here doing a lot of extra stuff. So you'll see a bunch of craziness, a bunch of edgy people for a while, but it's just how it is. And you guys got to hate. Other than that, there's nothing more to really report this year, other than I think that was everything I had. Unless you guys got any questions.
This was not you, but Mr. Mayor, are we sending somebody to represent us at the service for the?
Oh, I'm sure we will, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I will be there. I will be there in the possession, or I'll have an officer there.
Good, thank you.
So yeah, we pretty much again take care of all those kind of things. It again is a cost to us to some extent, but in my case I'll go, so it won't be a cost. But it's just out of respect for those folks and those agencies, and so I hope we continue to support that. Any other questions?
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Excellent report. That
You only
brings
had
us.
3 minutes.
Yeah,
had 3
well, he
minutes.
took Troy's 3 minutes too.
Yeah.
City planner, did you have anything you want to add on Katrina's behalf?
No.
Okay,
Hey, we did talk about that today,
he's gonna take up Katrina's time too.
I'll get Katrina's real briefing real quick.
Our city planner, Chief.
We did talk about the new development today.
Okay.
Katrina, we had a meeting about the water, roads, and a bunch of other things. She's putting the final plan together to meet with those folks. widening the roads, some lighting and some water issues that she's right on top of, doing a great job, just so you know, if you get a chance to ask her about it, great job. I mean, you can't say more about how well she's doing with that
Sure.
project. Yeah.
Thank you. City Attorney, would you like to give a report on his behalf as well, Chief?
I'm good, Mayor. Before we go in, how are we doing with fire district?
I have no report.
Okay.
City Attorney, Clerk Treasurer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So here's your last report on 2017. The state gives us a little bit of grace to continue to take money out of 2017 funds to pay for things that were incurred in 2017. So the total revenues, we wound up at 103.6% of projection, and the general fund itself was 106%. I'm sorry. The total revenues were 103%, the general fund was 106%, expenditures overall were 89%, and in the general fund they were 104%. So we spent more discretionary money than we thought we were going to spend, but it was made up for by the fact that we got more revenues. So 2018, I ran the first budget position today. Our revenues are 0.8% of projections, and the expenditures are 3.1%, and the target is 4.2. Why the discrepancy is because in January we get hit with several pretty hefty bills. We had to pay our insurance for this coming year for the AWC. We paid our lease payment for the police vehicles that we purchased last year, and then we had some other miscellaneous first of the year costs. So those should represent the largest per month cost, and of course it sounds bad to say we only got 0.8% of what we were supposed to get, and we spent 3.1. But please don't confuse fund accounting with money in the bank. We have plenty of money in the bank. The grants, we talked a little bit about the grants just a little bit ago, but here's where we are. The Sussex Crossing Street improvements have been made. All 6 of those posts are up and operational. I think Public Works did a really nice job installing them. It's unfortunate Mr. Marshall left. He forwarded a letter today. If you take a look at those poles, the actual lights on the poles are white, rectangular, flashing LED lights. The federal government put a letter out and said those are no longer authorized. But if they were installed prior to 31 December, we're okay.
We're okay.
We're okay. And anyway,
We're going to take away your marijuana and your square lights.
there you go. And I have no idea why. The letter doesn't explain why. The letter doesn't explain why. It just doesn't meet their standards. Anyway, we submitted for reimbursement for that grant. Ms. Parkhurst alluded to some of the challenges we're having there, but we're working our way through that. We'll get the reimbursement. We're not worried about it. The TRPC is moving forward with the Yelm-Tenino Trail Extension feasibility study. I don't know what the timeline for that looks like, but it's underway, which is really good news after 18 months. The wayfinding sign grants, I talked with Paul Brewster from TRPC a little bit today, and I talked with Teresa Parsons from the county a little bit today. And they're all in agreement. So now us, the city, TRPC, the grant administrator, and the county, the people who are going to fund it, and who are going to establish the standards for the wayfinding signs, are all okay with Tenino going ahead and ordering, making, designing, whatever, however we're going to approach it, to get those wayfinding signs up, because we need to spend the money. We're sitting on the money, and people need to get a report from us saying that we've spent it appropriately.
That one's easy. The extension feasibility study is the one that frustrates me, and yeah, but whatever.
Stray voltage here. There's a foundation out of California called the Sierra Pacific Foundation. They have a branch office down in Chehalis, something to do with the mine down there. But they got wind of our sponsor, the pool, and have sponsored the first day of the Tenino Quarry pool operations for 2018. So a little later in the year, we're going to ask you guys to make a big deal out of presenting a ceremonial kind of check or something like that. And I'll work with you to get it so it's timed with the meeting and all that kind of stuff. And at more stray voltage, we had a very interesting question asked of us today. And I'm just working off of memory, but it's something like, would you guys allow us to use your pool for controlled underwater experimentation?
No.
Which means.
No, you don't even know what that means.
Yeah, we don't know what that means.
That's why you say no.
It says, I'm interested in finding out more about the quarry during off-season.
Yeah.
I work at an engineering company, and we're looking for a location to do some underwater testing in a controlled environment. Is the quarry available to run out for a day or two of testing? If so, what are the restrictions, requirements for use of location? And our question was, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
They're like nuclear testing?
Let's not, we have no idea. Yeah.
The creature from the Black Lagoon will show up 6
Yeah.
months later.
This could be a great 80s movie.
Yeah. And then there's a corporation in the signature block. I did a web search of that corporation, and they are all into defense contracting. So.
Underwater missile launch.
We'll see what they come back with.
But if it's benign, it's $1,000 a day for us.
9 foot 7.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take them too long to put that silo in,
Yeah. An underwater laboratory. Mr. Bigglesworth.
Now we're
How big is their button?
we are straying, but you all do know that the military uses the shut down nuclear facility out there for training.
SATSA.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not so shut down.
They do NBC training.
But
Anyway.
that's the military, it's not some engineering company that we don't know that's asking for
But the
experimentation.
real interesting ones are the engineering companies that
Because
you
they work
don't
for the
know.
military.
Again, watch your sci-fi movies.
We'll see what happens.
Well, we won't let them do anything without your approval. Other business. Again, Mr. Marshall has arranged a meeting with the Department of Health on February 1st. Director Cannon and myself will attend, and the subject of that meeting is our water plan update. So what we're going to do is get the most recent guidance from the Department of Health on what we need to include in our water plan. So that's an ongoing project. Katrina and Troy both are concerned about our stormwater plan. We have to have one. And we're still looking for legislative direction. I spoke with Katrina this morning. She's going to raise the issue with the Planning Commission, but she and I are thinking it's probably a better task for the Planning Commission than it is to hit you guys with it the way we have been, so we're going to investigate that. Vouchers. A lot of voucher work up here today. Rana and I have talked about this. What we're going to do is change our procedure a little bit, and we're going to establish Friday close of business as voucher cutoff day. And what that means is then we won't have to scurry around to the very last minute trying to cut checks and get them ready for presentation for you guys. So that for the community at large, what that means is if they want their payment the day after council meeting. They need to get their dang bill to us by Friday before council. Otherwise, the answer is your check is gonna be another 2 weeks. And then the other thing, Mayor Fournier had a department head meeting yesterday, and he outlined a new methodology for us with respect to contracting. And what we're doing is moving to a more, like a lot of cities do, a more centralized contracting arrangement that's going to require more coordination between the 3 department heads, so that we don't, you know, when one of us wants to do something, we get the right people on the task early enough that we don't have the coordination issues with getting contracts.
In other words, you're not putting water pipe in after you put the new road in.
Something like that. That's exactly correct.
Important.
Pending your questions, that's my report.
Just an observation, because of the new tax laws, we've got a year since we're contracted with AWC, but you might want to take a closer look at insurance. I believe because of what was signed, we can now shop for insurance across state lines or become parts of much bigger organizations. AWC is not all that big. Become parts of larger organizations that can get us better rates. It's something to take a look at, and we got a year to do it.
Thank you, sir. That's actually a very interesting question. You know, I'm on their operating committee, so I'll have an opportunity to raise that issue directly.
Oh, then I could. Because that's killing the customer.
There's actually a couple of guys on that committee that are really concerned about costs. So this would be right up their alley.
Next, my report. What's that?
He gave all of it.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned a month ago at our meeting that we requested for the Historic Grant Commission $5,000 for the Quarry House porch. They came back and they said they wanted to give us $10,000. That was approved today. Commissioner Hutchings helped make that happen, so we owe him a big thank you. And that was all approved. So for our quarry porch rehab, I think we have $15,000 built into our budget. There'll be another $10,000 coming on top of that. We're still trying to figure out what exactly needs to be done for that rehab of that porch, because something that was built 100 years ago. As was mentioned, we had a department head meeting. We talked about centralized contracting. We talked about how we have to coordinate together on those processes. So and a lot of the discussion was about a spending plan for our capital improvement budget, and then how to implement that. We've got a lot of things that money needs to be spent on. Expanding the public works building, putting in fencing in front of the police station, Quarry House porch. Yeah, all these different things, and we want to get them on a schedule so that we don't get to September and go, oh no, So, and a lot of those things, they involve multiple department heads. So the fencing at the police station, Don's got to say what he wants done. Troy's kind of the facilities guy, so he's got to they put together the scope of work, and then the clerk treasurer has to put out the request for bids. So we're getting that all on the calendar. Also talked about, I'm going to meet with the department heads and talk about objectives and goals for the year. Had a meeting in the governor's office today, talking about I was harping on them about the capital budget, and they say, yeah, we all want to get it to pass, but hey, we're happy that Tenino's still in there. And it's hard to say what's going to happen. They're going to try and kind of slide it in early and get it through there, but there's just because there's one party has majority in both houses doesn't mean anything, because they're divided amongst themselves as well. Had a meeting today with the port and the EDC to talk mostly about the ag project. The port raised their levy like 3 cents. So everybody wants some of that money. A big a big reason that they said they raised that levy was for ag projects, and we are the premier project in everybody's eyes. So it is being worked out, but the proposal is that the port would be involved in this project as well. We do need to, the EDC is going to come down and give it a bigger update, but we are, like as I mentioned, we're looking at two sites for that ag project. One being the Alpacas of America property, the other being city property, which would be near the wastewater treatment plant. And that one is, has its merits, and the EDC is going to come and talk about that. Hopefully next meeting. The port coming on board would dedicate about $150,000 a year out of their new levy monies to that project over 4 years, and we're hoping that with the port involved, if the city property is deemed more favorable, the money from the legislature, we then go back to TransAlta for the $6 million request again, and it would be a better request because some of the unknowns when we were there last time was, who's going to own the property, how's it going to be managed, and you'd be able to go back and say, well, we got that covered, City of Tenino, we got that covered, the port and the EDC. Base is covered, and we've also improved relations with TransAlta corporate. So I think I mentioned at the last meeting, they came into town talking about wind, not solar. No, they were talking about solar. They were talking about solar projects and how in Thurston County, and we had some meetings with them, and these were the people. We kind of hit a lid with this Lewis County, Thurston County thing, and the Lewis County people control these economic development funds that TransAlta has to disperse, and we kind of felt like we were up against a wall, and really only Lewis County projects were being considered. But then being invited to that meeting by the corporate folks from TransAlta, the people that really make the decisions, kind of blew those doors open on kind of the Lewis County faction. And since then, those relationships have been worked on and cultivated. So we think we've got a little more leverage going back to ask this time.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
is Richard Volk not working with TransAlta anymore?
Nope, he left there a couple years ago,
Okay.
and they're not friends.
Not good.
Nope.
Okay.
He actually told us not to put his name on anything. So, yeah, that's neither here nor there. Speaking of the EDC, this, I was pretty happy with this. This is their Thurston Region legislative agenda, and I think it has 3 issues that are near and dear to the EDC when they are lobbying legislators, and first and foremost is Tenino. So that relationship has really worked out well for us, and I think we should all be proud of what we've kind of fostered there. The park wall that was mentioned by Mr. Droll, as has been mentioned, that is in the county capital budget. To the tune of, I want to say, $150,000 to $160,000 to create a big, beautiful wall.
I was going to say that.
Get some panels up and.
With super highways on both
Yeah,
sides.
yeah. So we're going to build a big, beautiful wall with the county. It's in the budget. They're right now, the parks manager is working with the engineers to put together some type of RFP. You can build a wall for about $10,000, a really nice wall. But what we're building is something that is an art piece. It's a monument to veterans, and so it is something much bigger than just pier blocks. So they're having to put together the parameters for that to make it make sense. Is being worked out, but it's basically the county's project, and we are going to participate in it. CDBG funds. The last I heard back from the county, and this is just a couple days ago, was that they put together. I don't want to give all the background information. I think you guys remember, but they put together the proposal for the catchment region for the quarry pool, and they feel like they've got a reasonable proposal. They have turned that into HUD. and they were waiting to hear back, but I think everybody in that office was off for Christmas or something. So when they hear back from Dr. Ben Carson's, we will know. That is my report. Any questions? That brings us to public comments period number 2. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment at this time, please step forward, provide your name and address. You'll be given 3 minutes. Sir.
Leslie Lamb, 118 MacArthur Street North, Tenino. I want to say I hope this is going to be a wondrous year for our city and council. It looks like it's getting off to a good start this year. When you go to submit that check, I hope we get one of the great big ones, like the sign back there that we posted up there for them today. And we've had some more thefts going on here at departments. In fact, I believe we had one of our vehicles' license plates stolen off the license, off the vehicle. So, yeah, there's stuff going on, and of course the ladies are up all hours of the night with flashlights and strobes and everything else trying to control our parking area. So, they're not getting much rest, and neither am I, because they're clomping on over my head all night long. So, I don't know.
They're awake, you must get out there.
I want to thank the chief and his department for all that they've done for us this year and everything else. So I hope you all have a wonderful new year. And that'll be it. Good night.
Are there any announcements?
Ellen. So tomorrow night at the high school, starting at 6 p.m. is senior night for the wrestlers. So there's 2 duels. The first duel starts at 6 p.m. and they're going to do the presentation for the seniors at 7 and then start the second duel. And it's Montesano and Forks. So it should be some pretty good wrestling. And there's about 7 seniors this year, which is the most we've had for quite a while. So
And they're doing good.
we're doing fantastic. Those kids are doing great with Mike Morales as the coach and Tyler, I can't think of his last name.
Jorgensen?
No, Langford.
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 Tyler Jorgensen.
Yeah.
Tyler Langford.
So,
The best public commenter
Yes.
ever at a Tenino City Council meeting. He was awesome.
yeah, they're doing awesome, so people come out and
He'll
support.
always be my hero.
Focus on the wrestlers.
Oh, he was great. Everybody remember that? Anybody want a history lesson?
Pull that meeting up so-
I know. John.
Nice sound this year is for the first time 113.
Next week.
We actually have that time. Just like, I've got TVB tomorrow morning.
Okay. So you want to comment on that at the next meeting?
Well, it's.
We'll assign them at the next meeting.
Okay, we need to make sure, Karen, do we have the opportunity, since our TVB is tomorrow morning, to wait until next week to officially assign me? Or does that take me off the voting register?
Oh, no, you're fine.
I think you're there until we say you're not.
Excuse me?
Till February.
Till February, so we have a little bit of time, that's what I was worried about.
Okay.
For this.
I forgot to share one last program with you all.
Uh-oh.
I have recently met and befriended Harvest Moon. She is a Quinault native and ambassador of peace.
Yeah.
She is a resident. You might be seeing her a little more engaged since
She's cool.
I asked her, hey, you want to go to a meeting for Urban Trailblazers with me and see if we can maybe bring the governor's back. So she will be doing storytelling at the library on February 23rd, which is a Friday.
I wish I could do storytelling.
She'll be in full regular and doing hotels. So if you're interested in native storytelling, and February 23rd. And so I have just Harvest Moon, and she is a very wonderful person.
She is. I tried to get her to come to Oregon Trail Days many, many times, and she's got a busy schedule. Yeah.
Brings that place. No. She's a sweetheart.
She's very cool.
Sounds like not a motion.
Yep. Meeting adjourned.
don't know if you guys noticed, but Miss Goldman's not a very nice person.
She's actually, what was it nice about?
Yeah, no, she's
Oh, it's a survey, they're gonna.
I'm just saying, it's public knowledge now.
What is
Sitting right here, driving to Eastern Washington, and I never heard him talk about it. We were talking about how many lanes of freeway they need to add to handle the traffic that's out there now, and it was like $200 million. If we could get a stagger start, it's a simple solution, and it doesn't take that much effort to do it. It could not maybe solve the problem, but it would be, like we already talked about, I've been pushing it.
Entry level or ladder?
Sir. Escalator? You will get right on that.
I hate those.
Right on it, sir.
This year, next year, the year after.
Well, I guess,
Now,
City Hall.
out of region testing, yes or no? No. Does not.
That should be already online.
Profile. They're asking us to check the box. So I'll make a copy of this for us in the morning
It's gonna cost
and.
us $200 million to solve this problem. And really, all it means is,
Oh, so you got
less than like 10% of the people, and we did it. But make a huge
Is that my business license finally?
Business license
Well, I-
denied, resubmit in 2 weeks for final decision.
When they send us like big sense,
You know,
like,
and I never
it
did
seems
come
like
in and
such a
pick it
simple
up.
solution that people.
But I gotta figure out a.
Yeah, again, I'm glad to see somebody's doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Sue was very concerned about the business license, and I'm like,
I don't think we touched that.
well, yeah, but think about recycling. We bill, you know, it's due in December of '70. So everybody got a $10 Christmas break.
Well, guess what I did?
You spend it.
No, I wish. I was, looking for something today on my desk, and my daughter cleaned up my desk.
Oh,
I
no.
keep bills like this right in front, underneath the screen, my computer screen. My water bill, I didn't pay in December, so I just wrote a check for $71.39 with the $25. I said, oh, don't touch my desk.
I like to pay the $25 fee, it's like a donation to the city.
Yeah, it's a donation. That's okay. Let it go.
That pays Troy's wages.
When you don't. Well, then I want it back.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
See you, Linda.
I trust you with all the documents, all of these.
We can do, we've had a lot of discussion with that.
These little blue computers gotta go.
Yeah. But we don't want to replace them with just some other.
No.
Or replace them with more junk.
Your plan with the, you know, a quality tablet.
That would last years.
Yeah, with, that doesn't leave,
That's
that's
the key.
always charged,
Yeah.
that,
And we're shafting the planning commission.
yeah.
Because
they don't have shit.
there is no benefit to them having board docs.
Yeah, well,
They can get it at home and we don't have to deliver, but at the same time, they don't get the same benefits of board docs.
we do, that's true. The Civil Service Commission should be using it, the Park Commission, if they ever get back up and running, should be using it.
Yeah. My idea is to actually have sponsor by large corporations that will take those people because they get paid taxes.
We were talking about that this.
And we train
Well,
them
the
on
park
how to
commission
do
could do the
that.
cultural thing, like, well, no, if that,
Yeah, I understand.
I will talk
I
about that.
understand that. It's just a different
But
direction.
if you have,
Using
yeah,
different
different
levels.
things and different groups, it's not for this purpose,
Yeah,
transition,
yeah.
and that's what we need,
But see,
transition.
but see, that's just.
That's how often she uses it.
Can be in transition.
No, it's just,
Because you look at Habitat.
they don't turn them on except the day before
Sales
council
of
meeting.
those years.
They don't update and the patches aren't applied.
$33,000, that's what these are for.
Emails,
Sometimes it's just like.
I get the emails on the phone. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean I open it up.
I asked, because three of them didn't submit it, there's two of the neighbors, the town neighbors. And I said, do you guys go over and look at it?
If this happens smoothly, don't encourage me to make anything motion. There's meetings.
And like I said,
If things are fine,
like being a politician.
They're not. But they will see if it wasn't in place, she would.
I know that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna.
But they need to.
We can't fight on the board anymore. You know, there's no disciplinary action.
What I wanna do is to
Well, I mean,
bring
we're
that-
subject to them
there's
being
a
happy.
new contract, a new MOU thing with that, you know what it was before, once you're in.
She's really
Is right now.
I don't know who those are.
looking at
I think these are
MOU.
bombs.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not putting them downstairs.
Yeah, I'll hang on.
See ya.
I was just gonna give this to you.
Bob left us his big board here, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah. Is that our easel and everything?
Yeah, this is one. Yeah, this is one of those easels we bought for the retreat. He asked me if I had one, and I'm like, yeah, we
Okay,
got
cool.
two.
Well, that'll be used for the planning commission, because the planning commission has to roll that into the comp plan.
Yep. Yep. Katrina juiced herself, which is solid.
She like that?
Yeah, she liked that a lot.
See, I just don't know what.
That
it's
picture's
gonna
worth
be.
1,000 words.
I don't know if it would make any
Yeah.
difference
Talk
or
to
not.
chief about this and
Yeah,
see
and
if
it
there's
hasn't
something
been
I can help.
scheduled for a hearing, but Dan Griffey, who's one of
Yeah,
our
okay.
district
Friend of
folks, is on that
I'll
part.
lock this and
He's
we'll
not
lock
a
that.
sponsor of the bill, but I just figured I'd pass it on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Dan,
Thank
friend
you.
of mine.
Sure, it's exciting to be here, I like you guys.
Yeah, we have fun. There's a lot of laughing.
It's because.
Laughing is not authorized.
I remember once, there was a van pool, like, state government van pool that was driving down the road. And they were going to a meeting, and someone told them, reported that they must not really be working hard because they were laughing.
Yeah.
And they were wasting their time.
Oh, Lord.
And they were going 66 and a 65 zone.